Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2017 Nissan Pathfinder Platinum. Up front is a 3.5 liter V6, and down below is a CVT. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Nissan Pathfinder for two reasons. First of all, I haven't reviewed this generation of Pathfinder before, so I'm always excited to check that off my list. But the second reason is the cup holders. I'm not kidding, I'll get into it with you later. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. But let's get back to that 3.5 liter V6. Well, 2017 was the facelift year for the Pathfinder in this generation. So the first half of the generation went from 2013 to 2016, and the second half went from 2017 to 2020. The reason that's important with the engine is that they actually switched engine designations from the VQ35DE to the VQ35DD. Now, I know one letter difference, but it actually gained 24 horsepower and it switched to direct injection. So that means a couple of different things. You're gonna wanna do like a fuel system cleaning because direct injection engines often have more carbon buildup, but you also got 24 more horsepower, which is huge. I'll take that bump. Like I said, paired to it is a CVT. Now, this is a downside of the Pathfinder. They use CVTs in this era. Earlier CVTs in the first half of the generation, 2013, 14, 15, have a lot of issues. As time went on, they had less and less issues, but that doesn't mean that these transmissions are problem-free. So, something you want to keep note of, switch the filter, get their fluids checked, all of those things. Last but not least, this particular Pathfinder is four-wheel drive. However, you could find them in two-wheel. How does it feel to drive the Nissan Pathfinder? It's really uneventful. It's a decent-sized three-row. It is bigger than you would think. It's sculpted and designed to look like a smaller SUV. It's really not. Ride quality is nice, but definitely far away from its sisters and brothers over at Infiniti. But I do really like that V6. Something that's going away in three-row vehicles is the V6 option. Plenty of power, plenty of torque, plenty of get up and go around town, which I love. Visibility is good, no complaints on that front. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 4 physical gauges and a screen. Off to the left is my tachometer and coolant temperature. Off to the right is the speedometer and fuel. And in the center, we do get that recessed screen, which is nice. You get some pretty simple information, but that is part number 1 that does make this interior feel a little bit dated. On the steering wheel on the left, we have our selectors for the infotainment, as well as volume, source, and voice commands. And off to the right, we have our cruise control options. To the left of the steering wheel, we have our climate control vent. And down below, we have plenty of buttons for traction control off, heated steering wheel, rear tailgate release, power door on and off, blind spot monitoring, tow mode, and our outlet on and off. Moving on to the door, you do get 2 levels of memory seats, as well as this nice wood accenting. And down below, we have power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, we do get our infotainment display. Now, this is touchscreen, which is very nice for 2017. However, the rest of it feels very, very dated. This does not feel 2017. This feels maybe 2010, and we did see this in late 2000s Infiniti products, so it leisurely made its way over to Nissan throughout the decade, but definitely don't expect a current feeling infotainment from this sub 10-year-old vehicle. Down below, we do have plenty of buttons. I do love this. I think more cars need buttons. Very clean, simple, and easy to use. One of my favorites, of course, is the camera button, which is always very helpful. And moving down the center stack, we do have a CD player, another relic from yesteryear. Dual zone climate with fan speed in the center, a little cubby, and then we have heated and ventilated seats. Very, very nice to have ventilated seats here in the Platinum, but the Platinum was the top dog, so that does make sense. We have the shifter off to the left, and then our 4-wheel drive settings down below. So you can lock it on and off, 2-wheel drive and auto. Really nice that it has that. And then we have our cup holders off to the right. We'll do a big freaking bottle test. It fails. Wah, wah, wah. These cup holders were updated for the 2017 model year. Previous model years had two separate cup holders here. For 2017, they actually added this little middle part. They call this the dog bone to account for mugs with little handles. The reason I say this is because I actually talked to the Nissan design team and their head of interior design that worked on this. This was his brainchild. And I got to pick his brain for a half hour talking about this cup holder. And he said a lot of thought went into it. They listened to the complaints. People said, hey, I can't put my coffee mug in it. So they made this. And I love seeing that. I love seeing stories of automakers listening to their customers and adapting and changing the vehicles. And then if you'll notice, when they swapped up to the 2020 model, they completely redesigned the cup holders to accommodate more cups and bottles. So this was a mid-cycle refresh. This was all they could really do while maintaining the same structure of the center console. And that to me was really special. I know that's a bit of knowledge that you'll never ever use, but I thought it was cool. Moving past the cup holders, we do have a center console. It is a dual opening center console. And what's nice is that Nissan actually labeled it on the buttons which opens up which. A lot of automakers just have two blank buttons and they leave you to fend for yourself. Nice to see that labeling here. The seats are comfortable. They are heated, ventilated, power, memory, and that's all I can ask for out of a vehicle like this. And this isn't even Nissan's luxury line, so nice to see that in a more average Joe vehicle like the Pathfinder. They're comfortable. I like them. However, speaking of seats, the Pathfinder is Nissan's 3-row, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the second row of the Nissan Pathfinder, and there's actually quite a bit to love back here. First of all, we do have climate vents and our own climate controls. We get a wall outlet, we get volume and HDMI inputs right in the center, easy to find. It's not hidden in a cubby like a lot of cars do. And we have heated seats, but that HDMI is for these rear seat screens. Right now, you're seeing the Bart versus Thanksgiving episode of The Simpsons, but really, really cool that the Pathfinder got an option like this. Again, this wasn't Infiniti, this wasn't a luxury brand, but definitely something that a lot of families and a lot of kids are gonna like to see. I also do have my own sunroof. I assume there's a control up here, but I don't really see one. Oh, there we go. So there you go. Your kids in the back also get their own sort of safari roof, which is very, very cool. I can imagine how many kids have recreated the scenes from Jurassic Park out of the top of this Pathfinder. However, speaking of kids and space and movies, I don't know how that relates. Let's hop into the third row. All right, we're in the very third row of the Nissan Pathfinder. Little kids are gonna fit back here fine. You know, if you have kids under 10, you can chuck them back here. 5'11", not small guys, don't really fit back here very well. I have cup holders and vents, which is very nice, and I get to enjoy the roof as well. But when this is folded up, I'm gonna get very claustrophobic, and it's not gonna work very well. So, third row if you need them, but if you rely on them all the time, I always tell people go find a minivan, or the Nissan Armada was even bigger than this, but then you're gonna be switching to a body-on-frame truck kind of SUV, and a lot of people aren't interested in that hard ride, so decisions will have to be made, but it does have a third row. It works well enough, but not my favorite place. Let's hop into the very back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. Right around the back of the Nissan Pathfinder, we do have a button there, and it is a power-operated tailgate. Very nice to see, but this is the Platinum, so I would fully expect that. Oh, okay. It's gonna close now. Not sure why it did that. What? Why is it doing that? Look, I'm not even near it. I think it'll stay open for now. Okay, once we are back here, after the ghosts and gremlins are gone, we do have a 12-volt outlet over there, nothing over here. We could pull this up. We do get some storage in the Bose speaker down here, all of the goodies and whatnot. You can also hit this lever and push. Well, first, actually, sorry, you have to put the headrest down by pulling this little strap, and then like that, and then like that. And there you go. You have tons more cargo space now. So very, very nice. Pathfinder, you may now close your tailgate. Oh, you're not going to want to now. Okay, well this is fun. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I do like the look of this generation of Pathfinder. I think it's relatively handsome. However, I like the other generations of Pathfinder just a bit more. I miss the boxiness. This was very curvy 2000s. But if you looked at the rest of Nissan's lineup, it did fit in well with the Maxima and the Altima and the Sentra and the Murano especially. So it fit within its family design for the era, which of course I like to see. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving 2017 Nissan Pathfinder? Well, I like it. I like this car. You know, it's not really buttering my biscuits in any certain way. I think it looks attractive enough. I like that V6 power, but then again, I don't like the CVT. I don't like the outdated infotainment and whatnot in here, which I can't really harp on this car for. It's 8 years old anyway. It's going to be outdated with the infotainment, but that CVT is just not very good. And overall, the driving experience is rather uninspiring. It's not anything I'll write down in my journal tonight, but I do miss that V6. That V6 is very, very good and something that we don't really get much of anymore. The Subaru Ascent is a Turbo 4. Toyota Grand Highlander, Turbo 4. So you can see that, you know, these things, and so you can see that V6s are starting to get phased out, but this one has it, and I'm happy for that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Jermaine and Laura for letting me borrow their Nissan Pathfinder. They've been absolutely awesome to work with. I've reviewed many of Jermaine's cars, like this, and this. So you've seen his vehicles on the channel before, and this is their most recent acquisition. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.